Hi, it's Dave Fisher of Flying Fish. I have two Raw 420s in front of me. Quite a few people who've got these have said, what is the difference between the new competition 420 and the old Raw 420? I've got the two here, so we've got a little bit of a comparison. Not that this hasn't been fantastic. This is an absolutely amazing machine. If you've got one, it's incredible. If you've got a second-hand one, you're going to get one. It's an amazing machine. There are differences, and this has moved on. SAB are always moving on all the time. Here they are together. If I have a look at this one here and just remove the canopy on there, we can have a look through. As I say, this has had masses of flying. We've taught on it from beginners and taken it right up through to full 3D for fun, working out new manoeuvres, messing around, flying in smaller areas. Absolutely amazing. It's easy to build, and you've got the direct drive motor, which has never been an issue for us. This 420, the competition, has a separate motor, which I'll get into in a second, which gives a few more options. There are quite a few shared components, so if you've got an old 420 and you are not getting rid of it, quite a few of these components can be shared onto the new one. The rotor head will be shared, that's the same. The swash plate is the same. The arms are slightly different. They'll fit onto both models, but the arms on the 420 has spaces in between the bearings, so when you tighten them up, you don't get any play in them, so that's absolutely brilliant. That's a little bit of an upgrade on that. All of the servo mounts are the same on the actual plate at the top here. So that's compatible between the two. The belt and the boom and all the tail mechanism are the same as well, so shared components there, even the boom mounts. The layout here, where we have the ESC mounted in the frame here, a little bit lower down, is moved on the new 420. And the battery will be located, instead of coming in from the front, will come in from the back on the 420. So these are the differences between the two. The undercarriage is shared, so they'll fit on as well. Blades are the same, tail blades are the same, fins the same. Let's whip the canopy off this one and have a little look at the changes. Now on this one, it's a permanently fitted canopy. On the old 420, battery goes up through the front. We don't remove it. Here we have the battery sliding in, and here's the battery mounted on its tray. That will slide in from the back, and I'll show you that in a minute. Right, let's remove this canopy. Beautifully made. It's got a little magnet on the back that clips the canopy together. If I just take that off there, you'll notice that beautifully made there, fits fantastically. And when it goes on the frame, you have little soft pieces which go on either side, foam pieces of the canopy of the frame. This stops the canopy rattling on the frame as well, so beautifully thought out. Canopy on the front has more surface area, so when you're actually flying it, when you're viewing this one, you tend to get a view of the battery, and it's dark, not so easy to see if it's a long way out. This one here shows up amazingly well, so the presence in the air is a lot greater. Let's get that out of the way and just look at the layout here. You can see that we now have a separate motor on this. This goes back to the way that the other SABs drive. You've got your motor in here with a pulley and a belt that drives through to a main gear here. This is a single stage reduction, and the great thing with this is we can have a higher kV motor or a lower kV motor. We can gear it with different pulleys, and we can get the best out of the machine. So you can actually really fine tune your setup to produce the machine to fly with higher or lower head speeds exactly as you want. The ESC has been brought up higher as well, which, as I say, was lower mounted in this frame. This gets the centre of gravity up higher as well, which makes it a little bit more nimble, and it does actually feel different in the air. I think with the motor on the 420, the older 420, it's quite heavy, it's quite a big motor, it has more inertia, and although the weight is probably very similar when you look at the extra components on the 420 competition, just the distribution of weight is different, and this does feel really nice when you fly. Flies like a bigger machine. Same again on the boom. Boom as it's shared and the belt, they will all fit, but you have your tail servo mounted on the boom, and the main difference there is that if you were to tighten the belt, pull the boom back, the rod length remains constant and you don't have to readjust your tail linkage. So that's something a little bit different as well. The mounting of the gyro, I found on here, when it mounts on there, the wires come through, and I've managed to actually mount them without having to trim or cut any wires. And this is very much the arrangement of mounting on servo wire mounting as you have on the larger SABs. So that's changed as well, because the servo wires previously were running around these components here, the actual mast, and back through, and it was not so easy to get the wires as tidy. So I like this arrangement as well for the wires. We also have a revised aerial mount here, which takes the wires out the back of the canopy, so the wires are now free from the canopy, have a V diversity mounting here, so you don't get any issues with range on the helicopter, and it keeps it well clear of the canopy. So this is rather nice, and that just clips on the boom and bolts onto the actual mount of the servo there, so it can't move around. It's fitted firmly onto the actual boom there. The main thing I found with this is, as I say, the visibility of it and the ease of this mounting on the battery. I didn't think that I would go with the mount that they supply in terms of using the terminals connectors that are supplied by SAB. On the previous machine I've used separate connectors, but I thought I'd try it on here. It means we have shorter wires going into the battery, and when you actually mount and fit the battery, it's effortless. You've just got your tray there, you can just slot in to the back of the heli here, and then that will go in. Watch the camera, and you can just push that in, and you've got your battery lock there, clicks in, that's now plugged in, and that locks the battery in place. So very, very simple, don't have to worry about connecting up by hand, and then we can just get the ring at the back there and just pull it out the back, and that now comes out and disconnects as well. So beautiful on the mounting. Really, really like this setup. Nice big connectors in there as well. We've got 5mm connectors in here, which are huge for 420, so there's no issues with high resistance in the connectors. You get an assured connection, and you know that it's going to take all the power demands that are needed. I've actually gone for an Ego Drift 3220 motor, which is a 960 kV. I was going to go for a lower kV motor and have it solely for teaching with lower RPMs, but I've opted for the higher RPM now, so as I can get a bit more aggressive 3D out of it. And this is really quite an animal. It really does fly in a large model way, but because of its small package, you can fly it in smaller spaces. Really good fun. Great fun machine to fly. I do think it's a worthy successor of the 420, and as I say, the main thing is if you're not used to flying smaller models, this canopy on here really does give good visibility. Let's just put that back on so you can see it. And it's got the look of the 580 and the 500 as well. It looks very much like that. It's got that styling. That just slots on there, and you notice, look how that canopy just falls together and fits nicely. So that now can actually go over the screws at the back here. Let's get that on there, and that, as I say, fits on permanently, but it can be removed like we've just shown for checking out. I do like the idea that you can check your radio gear, check the servos, all the linkages regularly there, without having to take the blades off. So there we are, there's the 420. I'll be doing a bit of a video at the field a bit later on and show you it flying. Super smooth, brilliant flying machine. It's very similar to the 500 in the way it's built. So I'll be doing a build video on the 500, and then you can compare that in the build to the 420. If you built a 420, this is very similar, but there are a few little changes just with the drive system, as we've mentioned. The bits that aren't exactly the same. Just to recap on that, your actual boss here that supports the bearings and the mast, that's a slightly different size, so that's not the same on the new 420, and the mast is actually a different size. The collar inside is the same, but the mast is a different size, so those two components wouldn't just swap over. But I would say actually that there aren't, because of the similarities, it's probably possible to convert this machine into the new 420. I'll have a look at the costings on that and see whether it's worth it. It might be just better to buy a complete kit, but some people have asked, can we just convert it and swap bits over? We'll have a look at that and see what it's involved. Well, there you go. Well done, SAB.